What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Everything Weapons. Drone sightings are happening at Diego Garcia, America's remote strategic island outpost. The sightings highlight concerns about drone attacks from the sea, especially at a time of extreme hostility between Iran and the United States. This is from the Warzone website, so all credit to them. That's where I'm reading from. If you're new, subscribe and smash the like button down below. Let's get right into it. Drones of an unknown origin were reportedly sighted over the remote joint US-UK Diego Garcia installation located deep in the Indian Ocean. This is a very isolated island in the middle of the ocean, and this island base has long been a highly strategic operating location for the US military. Beyond its large airfield that has been an epicenter of bomber operations over the decades, it plays many roles for the Pentagon. These include hosting Space Force operations, serving as a key port for US Navy vessels, including nuclear submarines, and its lagoon provided shelter for a Sea Lift Command pre-positioning ship squadron. The installation was targeted by Iranian ballistic missiles during the Epic Fury operation, but the threat posed by drones is even more plausible for the island outpost, especially at this extremely tense time as the standoff between the US and Iran grinds on. The issue of reported drones over Diego Garcia highlights a plausible threat of sea-launched drones that the Warzone has been drawing attention to for years now. It also again raises a concern about the danger to critical infrastructure and aircraft parked in the open at Diego Garcia and many other U.S. installations. This is another massive issue for the U.S. military, and my guess is Diego Garcia doesn't have the best anti-missile interceptor protection, right? But they say here, quote, "We are aware of reported sightings of drones, UASs, over Diego Garcia." The UK Defense Ministry, MOD, told the Warzone on Monday morning. They say, quote, "We are unable to provide any details about a situation which may affect the security or operation of the joint UK-US base on Diego Garcia." They say the US and UK commanding officers on Diego Garcia consider and implement appropriate measures to ensure the security and safety of the base and the safety of the personnel on the island, the MOD added. US officials were less forthcoming. They said, quote, "As a matter of operational security, we do not discuss specific force protection measures or security procedures at US military installations." An official from US Pacific Command told the Warzone on Friday. They say, "We remain vigilant in protecting US personnel and facilities." Neither the MOD nor PACCOM would say what kinds of drones were sighted near the island and when they were sighted, who was operating them, or what, if any, defensive measures were taken as a result. Now, both military organizations were responding to the Warzone's questions about an August 7th posting on the Air Force Facebook page, an official social media channel that posts about service topics, that said, quote, "Inbox Diego Garcia, drones spotted near fuel farm base on 0700 to 1900 curfew until further notice. Note, message us if you have any further information. Thanks," the post read. Now, on Sunday, the page published a second post on the topic titled "Diego Garcia curfew reportedly due to drone threats." The post displayed what the page purported to be an official listing of curfew times for various locations around the installation. "We cannot independently confirm the accuracy of these posts and have reached out to MOD and PACCOM for details. MOD did not specify who reported the drone sightings over Diego Garcia, the isolated island, so we have asked for clarification, making this an even more unusual event. Diego Garcia is essentially a closed island with no significant general population or tourists around to be operating drones on a recreational basis, so seeing one or more drones over the base would certainly raise alarms and is most likely going to be a military threat, kind of espionage situation where they're spying on the island, right? Though Diego Garcia is about 1,000 miles from Sri Lanka, the nearest large landmass, its remote location does not rule out the possibility of drone incursions by an adversary. During the run-up to the launch of the Epic Fury operation against Iran, the FBI sent out an alert warning about the possibility of an Iranian drone attack on targets in California using uncrewed aircraft launched from ships off the coast. Though the alert was based on raw, unverified intelligence and was sent out on an abundance of caution rather than any fears of an immediate action, the overall threat of drone attacks from ships is very real, and generally speaking, there are long-standing concerns that Iran and/or other actors operating on its behalf could seek to launch asymmetric attacks on targets in the United States, as well as elsewhere outside of the Middle East in retaliation for large-scale strikes or even in an unprovoked manner. The risks of Iranians deciding to take such action have historically been seen as especially high in any scenario where there might be an existential threat to the regime in Tehran. There were enough concerns about Iranian attacks on Diego Garcia that F-16s were actually deployed there in February before the war even started and erupted for protection primarily against one-way attack drones and cruise missiles. F-15Es were deployed to Diego Garcia for this same purpose last year in what appeared to be a first-of-its-kind force protection change. As noted earlier, Iran clearly sees the installation as a top target, as it has long been something of a refuge for U.S. forces to fall back from the Middle East from. A good way to park, I guess you could call it, right? If need be. Iran subsequently launched 2 intermediate-range ballistic missiles at Diego Garcia during Epic Fury, however, neither struck the base. The threat from drones launched by ships is not just limited to Iran. Russia is suspected of sending drones over key European military installations from vessels. Long-range, one-way attack drones with endurance measured in many hundreds of miles, if not more than 1,000 miles, are increasingly a staple in military arsenals globally around the world and have also been proliferating to non-state actors. Yet the drone threat isn't just limited to these kinds of weapons for remote locales like islands. Ukraine has carried out devastating attacks on Russian radars and other targets on Crimea and elsewhere using short-range aerial drones launched by unmanned uncrewed surface vessels, or USVs for short. This same capability set is proliferating around the globe, allowing for the USV to work on a relatively low-cost delivery system for highly precise and relatively inexpensive short-range drones that can then execute near-field attacks. The US and others are also developing similar capabilities for its submarines and future uncrewed underwater vehicles, or UUVs for short, which could even more easily sneak into close proximity to targets ashore before launching their deadly drone munitions. Now, the claims about drone sightings over Diego Garcia rekindle concerns that the U.S. is not doing enough to protect its aviation assets. This situation is another data point in the already heated debate over whether the U.S. military should be investing more in new hardened aircraft shelters and other base infrastructure amid rapidly evolving standoff aerial attack threats. It is indisputable that aircraft sitting exposed on a flight line are particularly vulnerable to attack, even to drone threats leveraging commercially available technology. This is something we regularly highlight, and that has been continually demonstrated in the ongoing war in Ukraine, obviously. Even very troubling, drone incursions on critical bases in remote areas aren't entirely new. Between late February and early March of 2019, the massive installation at Andersen Air Force Base on the island of Guam experienced repeated incursions by unmanned aircraft that appeared to be extremely interested in one highly sensitive area of the highly strategic base, the U.S. Army's Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD battery, that is tasked with defending the island from ballistic missile attacks. Beyond threats from drones, the U.S. saw several aircraft park out in the open, destroyed or damaged by Iranian ballistic missile strikes on U.S. bases in the Middle East. And the reports of drones over this isolated island in the middle of the ocean, which is a very strategic and useful spot for the Americans, over Diego Garcia are certainly very concerning, although we do not know anything more than about them at this time. What type of drones they were, what country was flying them. Above all else, they are a reminder that the threat this very diverse group of systems and their potential delivery systems presents is only becoming more troublesome and complex as time goes on. Thank you guys so much for watching. Smash the like button down below. A thumbs up is greatly appreciated. It does help me out a lot in the algorithm. Leaving a like pushes my videos to new viewers. Type us a comment down below of what you thought about this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, especially if you are new. Most viewers don't even hit the sub button, so I'd greatly appreciate it. Ring the bell if you don't want to miss any video we post in the future. As always, you're watching Everything Weapons. Check out my older videos on the channel, guys. Lots of content to binge watch that are similar to this one, and join us here on all social medias. I post on all platforms if you didn't know, so be sure to follow my Instagram, follow us on Rumble, find us on X, Snapchat, TikTok, on all social medias. And until next time, I hope you guys have a good week. See you in my next video. Take care.